Hello, hello, good morning. As you can see, it is past 11. Having some technical difficulties with my laptop, so I am coming to you live from my phone. But it is Thursday, and it's Learning with Karis. Coming to you every Thursday, 11 a.m. It's past 11 a.m. right now, but I'm excited to talk with you today about grant funding and faith-based entities. So please come in and join. And if you are catching the replay, please let me know, and I would definitely appreciate it. So I'm just going to wait just for a few, and also see if I can share. I don't think I can share this from. I don't think I can share this from my phone. But again, it's Learning with Karis every Thursday, and I just want to just come on and share with you all just hopefully some principles and some nuggets and advice that you can incorporate with your nonprofit, your small business. These are just leadership tips and for your own success. And so please, even though today we will be discussing faith-based entities and grant funding, I believe these nuggets will indeed and can indeed be incorporated into your nonprofit via that. If it's not faith-based, excuse me, or your small business, again, these are just principles and strategy principles to help you, our everyday and awesome leaders that do wonderful works to serve others in the community. And I don't even think I introduced myself. I am Shanquetta Cunningham, owner and lead strategist of Karis, where our mission is to support the everyday leader by providing transformational solutions to tackle your everyday problems. And those problem areas could be leadership development and training, structure, strategy, and of course, the number one thing, funding issues and funding woes, right? And so Karis is here to serve you in that capacity and to offer some, again, strategy solutions, not quick fixes for those problem areas. So we're going to go ahead and get started on today because, again, I am using my phone and it's on 20%. So we don't have a lot of time, especially when you use the video feature. This is part 2 of the conversation from last week of Learning with Karis, discussing grant writing and faith-based organizations. And it was so well received. I was messaged and inboxed to do a part 2 to that follow-up. But I would encourage you all to go to part 1 and listen to that video. It's about 20 minutes, and we will not be here 20 minutes for that video. And so, thank you. Okay, thank you. Being at home live. So, alrighty, okay. Okay, yes, you can get some more candy. Thank you, mommy's doing a video. It's tell Tori. Thank you. Close the door. Thank you. All right, mompreneur, right? So, okay, so last week we discussed our 3 tips for to help nonprofits and faith-based nonprofits and organizations when you're seeking grant funding. And so those 3 tips, we talked about the lack of strategy, that even as a faith-based entity, we should indeed have a strategy and structure to how we want to acquire grant funding, that you have to have a language switch, that it's okay and you with certain settings to use spiritual and spiritual terms, and to know that vision came from God. I understand that. But when we're seeking professional meetings and seeking funding, when organizations and grant funding agencies want a return on their investment, we also have to speak that language. And then 3, that we also must just incorporate a professional structure and have our documentations and our documents and our numbers prepared. So to follow that up with part 2, today we are going to talk about something that I thought was just relevant, and that is we need to have measurable goals for our nonprofits. And so that means that even though we want nonprofits, and we want our nonprofits to do this great community work, this great spiritual work, that we have to ensure that we can measure that result. So, for instance, if you are seeking grant funds and you have a feeding program, let's take it to the biblical context, to where Jesus had a large crowd in front of him. And then it said he fed this large crowd with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. At the end of that, though, we get the numbers that Jesus fed 5,000 individuals, including men and children. So, women and children. So there was an overflow. But there was a spiritual work that was accomplished, but we did see a tangible result. And so I'm encouraging you, when you are going after grant funds and you're a faith-based entity, that it's not enough just to say, hey, we want to feed the community. Ensure that you have the numbers to support it, because we have that biblical example that it's do accomplish the mission and then quantify those results. And I think that's the number one thing I want to just talk about today. Please quantify your results, because again, it's an exchange. Grant funding agencies are saying, hey, we cannot do this great work every day. We cannot feed the homeless. We cannot feed those in need and in poverty, but you can. But we also want to see where our money is going, how it's scaling your organization. And so that's why it's important to document everything that you do, document your successes, so that you can present that, and that way you begin to earn the trust and the programmatic trust of grant funding entities, that they know, say, hey, yes, they are spiritual, faith-based, grounded. They have this solid foundation that they serve God and the purpose of Jesus Christ. But they also show us how they're fiscally responsible with the investment that we've made into the organization. And that's just so important. So I want to just reiterate again, when faith-based entities, when you're seeking grant funding, ensure that you can quantify your mission. You can quantify your program. It's not enough just to say, hey, we help at-risk teens. How many at-risk teens do you have? Do you help and support? What are the hours of operation? What is the program and the curriculum that you are using? Even if you're getting together and having small group conversations, do you have an outline of that program? What are you going to talk about weekly? I know sometimes we say, and again, we're talking about that language switch where we just follow what the Lord tells us. And even if that's the case, there should also be a documentation. So if it's going to talk about self-esteem, write that down, because that still gives you a program. And then also can help you if you want to ensure that you can scale that and give that to another leader, that's important to be able to show those tangible and quantitative and qualitative results, that we have to show the numbers with the impact. Okay. And the second tip I want to give you today, we're talking about faith-based entities and grant funding. Number one, we just covered that you have to be able to measure the results and measure your impact. And I gave you the example that Jesus fed a large crowd, but we know that he fed 5,000 people. And then there was another example of 4,000 people. And I think it's just relevant. If it's relevant enough for the Bible to tell us that it's important to share those numbers and to quantify those things, then it's also important for you as well to do the same within your own faith-based organization. And number two, when you are seeking grant funding for your organization, remember the funding is flowing through your organization, not to your organization. And I want to say that again, the funding is flowing through your organization. It's flowing through your organization for you to do a community impact. It's not just to service your own members. Now, sometimes there are exceptions, because there are grants out there for training and leadership development, and that actually will serve the community, because if you are building up your leaders, then you're building up your community. And so, there are exceptions, but most of the time we are seeking grant funds for community programs. And remember, that's the idea for grant funding agencies. We want to know that we are giving you funding for a great community work. It has to go beyond your own members, beyond your own immediate needs, because again, that's what you've written the proposal for. And I want to just encourage you to keep that in mind, that if you cannot see the program beyond how it benefits your own church, then maybe you are not ready for grant funding yet, but give me a call, because we can get you grant prepared. Or if it's that I have the program, but I don't have the strategy to it, to where it's presentable, right, for grant funding agencies, then again, that's where we can work together. Because, it's okay to be spiritually minded, but we also have to have practical tools, and we also have to have tangible tools and quantitative results to attract grant funding, and then to be able to do the great work that you all are commissioned to do within your faith-based nonprofit. So I am excited for over the next 30 days for faith-based leaders, because if you go to the website at www.consultcaris.com/30, you will find information about the 30 for 30 program for faith-based leaders. And so this program will provide biblical tools and biblical strategies for practical tools, so that you all can become more efficient as faith-based leaders. And I see the great work that you do, and because of the great work that you do, sometimes it just presents and hinder your time that you can strategically plan with your staff, or just think of creative ideas and ways to engage your members, or to figure out and say, hey, how do I expand and scale this program and the outreach that we do for the community? Because your work is just, it's so fluid, and day to day that may change as a pastor, as a leader. And I understand that. And so I want to present to you the 30 for 30 program for just $1 a day. So it's 30 nuggets. Each day you receive these biblical tools that will help you with advice such as I'm giving now, with grant funding and grant writing, and partnering with community sponsors, and supporting your members. Again, I recognize that you do so much, and so sometimes it's hard to get the training that you desire. And so this is a quick way, less than 5 minutes a day, for $1 a day, to get those tools that you can read, start early in the morning, and hopefully integrate into your ministry. So please head over to www. Did I say 3 W's? I hope I didn't say more than that. But consultcaris.com/30, and find out more information about the 30 for 30 program that's specifically designed for faith-based leaders. I guarantee you that the incorporation of these tools, again, they are leadership principles grounded in biblical strategy. And if you are not a pastor or a small groups leader, if you are just someone that's desiring for leadership tips right at your fingertips, just one click of an email, I encourage you to sign up as well. We will start November 1st. And I'm so excited to be able to serve you with this low cost program, and I assure you low cost but high impact. So again, that's the 30 for 30 program for faith-based leaders. So alrighty, that's getting me faith-based leaders. Again, today we just talked about two main nuggets, and that is, for one, faith-based leaders, make sure that we quantify the work that we do. Ensure that you can have a program that can be measured. And on the other side, I know the spiritual benefit is high. When we are conducting business, we must be able to tangibly show that work. And then two, also remember that for our programs, they have to do more than service our own ministry. They have to be community-wide for community impact. And don't forget the 30 for 30 program. Head on over to sign up for that program. And of course, if you would like individual training for your leadership team, for your ministry team, I am here and would love to come and conduct a training, or we can do it via Zoom. We have plenty of options. Just email me at Charis, KHARIS, grants@gmail.com, and we can set that up today. All right, I will see you all next week on Learning with Charis, and thank you all so much for joining me. Bye-bye.